Poultry farm in LaSalle goes bankrupt and leaves thousands of chickens behind.
So an animal sanctuary in Erie stepped in.
Just before New Year's, we get a phone call and we learn about tens of thousands of birds suffering a horrible death because the farm had gone bankrupt and did not have the money to feed or heat the barns in the middle of Colorado winter.
We knew this was going to be an expensive rescue that would take a massive toll on our resources, but there were so many suffering birds who needed our help.
We had an incredible team of volunteers help us retrofit our storage barn into a triage, and then we emptied out our visitor center to make it into a hospital suite for the birds in the most critical need. When we arrived at the farm, none of us were emotionally prepared for what we saw.
I was in so much shock. Everything was happening so fast. You're stepping in layers of feces and dead bodies, and birds are just everywhere. The smell stuck to your clothes.
There were these clumps of chickens basically keeping each other company and trying to keep each other warm because the heat had been shut off.
There were birds who couldn't move. You want to help them, and you can't.
We were making back and forth rescue trips to the farm for over a week, and we ended up saving a total of 610 lives.
I remember Margot. I remember holding her when she first got here, and she was not eating. And I remember picking her up and holding food to her little face, and she wasn't doing very well. I'm gonna walk her back.
Our community showed up in such a huge way. A lot of the folks who helped with rescue went so far as to temporarily relocate themselves here to Colorado to continue with the work once the initial rescue was done.
Our staff was working around the clock, sometimes as much as 20 hours in a day.
It felt like it was nonstop. You'd wake up, you'd give sub-Qs, meds, feed everybody.
Come back in, clean, go back out, clean, come back in, feed, go outside, feed the ones that were outside, then come back and give the final dose of medication.
Our initial vet bills were through the roof because we came in after hours on a holiday with dozens of rescued birds who needed critical care.
Some of them had frostbite. There were some that had eye infections. A lot of them suffered from septic arthritis, and they're having issues walking because of that. There were some with wounds, possibly from cannibalization because they were starving.
We even ended up having to hire additional help to make sure that our existing residents received all of the care and treatment that they need.
Margot was at CSU for a really long time. I believe she was getting antibiotics and antifungals. She was in ICU for a while because she would get better and then start going back downhill.
As we were sharing the story in real time, homes across the country were stepping up to give sanctuary to these rescued animals.
We had volunteers orchestrating transport, orchestrating placement in over 81 homes around the country, and volunteers who did the transports.
There were over a dozen total transports, with the last one happening in mid-March.
All in all, we had just over 150 volunteers share their time to some aspect of this rescue. Those volunteers ended up sharing over 1,000 hours.
The budget for this rescue extended over $50,000, including vet bills, medication, staffing, and the thousands of miles driven to get these birds to their loving homes. Chickens like the ones we rescued suffer by the billions. Through their story and experience shared with people all around this country, they will be able to spare the lives of hundreds of thousands of other birds just like them.
We've already seen incredible comments on social media from people whose lives were changed from this rescue.
Chickens are really interesting animals. They have the same cognitive abilities that mammals and primates do. We know that now. They also have very sophisticated social lives where they develop these meaningful relationships with their families and with their friends. When people meet these chickens in our humane education programs, they actually get a chance to connect with them and to see them as living beings who care about their lives just as much as we do. Most of our chickens went out to other sanctuaries all around the country that also have humane education programs. 75% of people who have attended a tour have agreed to consider to make more compassionate choices for farmed animals, which is a huge step for farmed animals everywhere.
I know when Margot first came, she was super sweet. She wasn't healthy, she was weak. Now she's healthy, she runs around a lot. I want to cry because of it. Just seeing how scared and hurt and sick that they were, and seeing them now being able to trust us. They've become a family, like part of the family, and it really does. It warms my heart a lot.
This rescue was only made possible because of the thousands of generous individuals that stepped up in a time of need.
We are just so absolutely inspired by everybody who gave their time and gave their support to help us continue to do this life-saving and life-changing work for these animals in need.
You are the reason why so many more lives will be spared. You made the difference. Thank you.